Simpson to engage some person to correct the language of that narration because it was written in a very ordinary language and it is followed by the publisher to the reader, in which Mr. Simpson he says that he is familiar with Gulliver from very long time and he has deleted certain passages which includes minute descriptions of tide, winds and storms. So the two letters in the very beginning makes the book or makes the novel very much realistic. Apart from these two letters, we have details of voyages which includes dates, years, the names of the ships are also given, names of the captains are also given. Even we have the varieties in names of the places also. So due to all these things, the book appears very much plausible, as well as you can say that it appears very much realistic also. Next please. Now if we look just in a brief, then in the 4 books we have these main characters. In book number 1 we have the main character, means in 4 books Lemuel Gulliver is the main character. He is the narrator of the novel, middle-aged person, very much intelligent, well educated. Next, in book number 1 we have Lilliputians. They have, means we can say that these Lilliputians, they have just only 6, means the maximum height of these Lilliputians were 6 inch. In book number 1 we have the character of Emperor, who is the ruler of Lilliputians, who was very much small in size. Apart from this Lilliputians, we have Flimnap, Reldresal. In book number 2, we have Brobdingnagians. And in Brobdingnagians, we have Brobdingnagian king, the queen. The king was very much intellectual. Apart from this king and queen, Gulliver also present the farmer with whom he lived, and very excellently he presents the character sketch of Glumlal Glitch, who is 9 years little nurse of Gulliver. In book number 4 we have Yahoos and Honihims. So this is just in a brief the characters from 4 books. Now if we look at book number 1, then chapter number 1 begins with Gulliver's childhood. He was he attended Emmanuel College, but at the age of 14 he was taken away from the college because due to some financial problems in the family. Then after he started apprenticeship under one surgeon, and during his spare time he learned navigation, and then after he accepted his job as a surgeon in one ship called Antelope. Now during this voyage the ship was wrecked and he was landed on one unknown island called Lilliput. The description that is given, when he tried to get up, he found that he was arrested or he was tied on the ground. Very small creatures, they were moving around him. Horses, everything were in a small size, and then after he was made the prisoner of that country and he was taken to the capital city. The name of the capital city of Lilliput was Millendo, and then after he was imprisoned in one ancient temple. Next one. Now next day the emperor arrived in order to see this Man Mountain, because he was a giant among these pygmy people. The character that he gives in book number 1 of the emperor, here we find the satire, because the emperor of Lilliput, he looks just like King George the First. King George the First was the ruler that succeeded the throne after Queen Anne and is ruling when Swift writes the novel. King George was actually German, and gains the throne through marriage. Next. In chapter number 3 of book number 1, we have the description of rope dance. Gradually, Gulliver wins the confidence and trust of the emperor. He demanded liberty. Liberty was given, and then after he was invited for rope dance, for diversion. And Gulliver expected that some musical performance or some musical dance will be there. But instead of that, he finds that people are dancing on the rope. And he also comes to know that whenever there is any political post is vacant, interested people are invited. They have to show their agility on rope dance. They have to show their cleverness in dancing. How long and how cleverly they dance on the rope determines their position as well as tenure in the court. And whosoever wins or whosoever stands first, second or third, they are given by the emperor blue color ribbon, red color ribbon and green color ribbon. This particular episode that is presented by Swift in book number 1, chapter number 3 represents various orders which George I used to give, and these orders were the garter, the bath and the thistle. So these orders, we can say, it was a cheap way of buying political support, and this particular episode or this political background was given when Swift wrote about rope dance. Next please. In that rope dance, Flimnap, the treasurer of Lilliput, was the best. And here the character of Flimnap represents Robert Walpole, the Whig minister. He was the first Prime Minister of England and he ruled England for more than 20 years. So the character of Robert Walpole was represented by Swift through the character of Flimnap in that rope dance. Next please. Gulliver's Travels is basically political satire, and in chapter number 4 in book number 1 we have very long description, very detailed description of that political satire. One day Reldresal, one character of book number 1 who is a private secretary for private affairs, visited Gulliver at night, and he informed Gulliver that in our country we have two political parties. One is known as High Heels and the second one is known as Low Heels. It is also known as Slamexon and Tramexon. And these two parties is nothing else but it represents the two major political parties of England. The High Heel party stands for the Tory party and the Low Heel party stands for the Whig party. And it is satirized here in chapter number 4. Apart from these two political parties, Reldresal also talks about the divisions that they have in religion also. Next please. According to him, at Lilliput, they have two religious party. One is Big Endians and another one is Small Endians. Big Endians, and friends, you all know that Christianity was divided into two branches in the 16th century when King Henry VIII broke from papacy and he established Church of England. He became Protestant in order to get married again, and from 16th century in England we have just only Protestant people. Catholic people, they were in minority, and this particular long series war between Catholics and Protestants are satirized by Swift by presenting the war between the Big Endians and Small Endians. Swift writes in chapter number 4, or you can say that Reldresal informs Gulliver that their holy book says that egg should be broken at a convenient end. And from the ancient time, it was believed that big end is the most convenient end. But the present emperor's grandfather, when he was a small child, while breaking the egg with a big end, he cut his finger. And then, after his father, he made a law that now onwards egg should be cut with a small end. People opposed it, and thereafter there were 6 rebellions. 11,000 people were executed, and then after big Indians they took shelter in a nearby island that is known as Blefuscu, and small Indians people they are residing at Lilliput. So this whole episode, how to cut egg, it's a really very much trivial thing, but it really symbolizes the nature or the difference in sacrament. Those who are Christians, they know very well that Catholics people they receive communion, so it represents the manner of communion. The grandfather who cut his finger represents King Henry VIII, who broke from papacy and who created the Church of England. Next, please. In chapter number 5 of book number 1, we have the naval victory of Gulliver. He fought against Blefuscu and he became victorious. He was given the highest title of Lilliput, Nardak. Now the king of Lilliput wants that he should conquer the whole Blefuscu, but he denied, and therefore there was a disharmony between the king and Gulliver. Next, please. In chapter number 6 of book number 1, we are given the culture, the tradition, the customs, and the education system of Lilliput. And through this description, we can say that Swift talked about utopian country. His ideal state is represented in chapter number 6, but by the time Gulliver reached, it was not in the practice. Chapter number 6. In chapter number 7,
Gulliver learns that the government has turned against him. This was very important thing that chapter number 7 focused on. He is accused of high treason. The emperor is persuaded that Gulliver should be blinded instead of being killed. This reflects the impeachment of Bolingbroke and Oxford, where it was suggested that he should be only accused of misdemeanors rather than treason. So this was basically, it was shown into chapter number 7. Over to you, ma'am, again.
Charges of treason were on Gulliver, and therefore he decided to go to Blefuscu. So he escaped from Lilliput. So in book number 1, religious dissension as well as political dissensions of Swift's time are satirized, especially in chapter number 4. And he talked about George I, even he talked about Queen Anne, because there is one episode also in which he urinated on the palace, and then after the queen was very much angry on Gulliver. Exactly, it was Queen Anne's anger for Swift. If we look at book number 2, in which we are taken to Brobdingnag, Gulliver reached at Brobdingnag. First, he was found by one farmer. He lived with farmer. Here at the house of farmer, he became very much friendly with his daughter, whose name was Glumdalglitch. Glumdalglitch was, you can say that she was a little nurse. Through her, Gulliver learned the language of Brobdingnagian people, and the farmer who was the owner, he exhibited Gulliver and he made lots of money. Due to such kind of exhibition, Gulliver was about to die. Now he was very much useless to the farmer, and therefore the farmer decided to sell this Gulliver to the king because the queen was very much interested in Gulliver. When Gulliver was exhibited, the queen became very much happy, and Gulliver's life with the king and the queen at Brobdingnag started. And here we have the satire. Gulliver, in order to show that how his country was very much glorious, he narrated the history of English people to Brobdingnagian king. The Brobdingnagian king listened the history very much carefully, and in return, after listening the history of English people and English kings, the king in return asks Gulliver. And here we have the satire. The king asks how the nobles were educated and whether they were greedy and corrupt, whether the bishop got their promotion because of their goodness and knowledge of religion, whether people spent lots of money to get elected to the House of Commons, whether they tried to get this money back by corrupt practice, whether people had to spend much time and money in getting justice, whether advocate pleaded for the wrong cause, for wrong causes for money. And here we can say that when Brobdingnagian king asks such kind of question, he becomes the mouthpiece of Swift. Swift has asked, or the questions that are in the minds of Swift are asked by Brobdingnagian king, and Gulliver was unable to answer such kind of, means he is unable to give any kind of answers. On the contrary,
There's a famous quotation which says that a heap of conspiracy, rebellions, murders, massacres, revolutions, banishments, the very worst effects that arise, faction, hypocrisy, perfidiousness, cruelty, rage, madness, hatred, envy, malice, and ambition could produce.
do you know, sir, that this particular comment was made by the king when Gulliver informs him